Welcome, fellow gamers. I am Tactical Gamer, and this is our insane 7 Days to Die class review, where we take your favorite builds and test them to level 50 in an insane difficulty game. We do a deep dive into its skill choices, playstyle, perk book selections, then we compare the pros and the cons, and give you helpful tips we learned trying to stay alive while sprinting from zombies who see us as a sweaty ham sandwich. Then we lay out the good, the bad, and the truly horrific. In the end, you decide if this build is for you, and as always, we end the video with a handy skill level chart that shows you which skills we recommend you choose at which levels. So let's get started. Today we introduce the Stealth Assassin build. It's a playstyle that doesn't appeal to everyone, but it has its fan base, and we figured why not start with probably the most efficient POI clearing build we have come across so far in 7 Days to Die. Strangely enough, it's also one of the hardest builds to play early levels. Staying true to form and sticking with a bone knife and a primitive bow mean lots of nerd poles, pillaging nests, and framed doorways. Now, this is not abnormal for games set to insane level. All builds struggle early on, but those that rely on harder hitting weapons do have a slight advantage. Be sure to check out the end of the video for our level by level skill choices. Now, the Stealth Assassin's build focuses on archery and knives for its main attacks, using stealth, ranged, and damage over time hit and run tactics. This means bone knives, primitive bows to start, transitioning into hunting knives and either the compound bow or crossbow mid levels, and then finally the machete and compound crossbow being your ultimate goals. By 50th level, you're going to have a maxed out agility, 4 levels in perception, and 5 levels in strength. We take the Penetrator to level 2, gaining us a 25% reduction in armor on mobs we hit with our crossbow. Now it comes in handy on those armored mobs later in the game. In the strength tree, we're just taking Sexual Tyrannosaurus up to level 3 for the reduced stamina usage, but more importantly, to combine with our maxed out Flurry of Blows for generating stamina on kills. If you follow our level guide, by 36th level, you'll be generating 50 stamina per kill with these two skills alone, which translates to constant power attacks. Horde Knights, sometimes you may have to rely on a few normal attacks or whatever till the zombies start dropping, but then the stamina generation basically will keep you going. We travel obviously pretty deep into the agility tree, maxing out archery, deep cuts, flurry of blows, light armor, hidden strike, and from the shadows. This build only has 2 additional points that you can put into whatever, and we pretty much found that Master Shelf 1 is a necessity, unfortunately. Now, depending on your luck in finding the greater soup-like recipes, you can probably skip Master Chef 2 and just throw the points in whatever suits your fancy. We actually made it to level 50 without spending that final point. We were seeing how long we could go without being forced to take Master Chef 2, and we got some lucky recipe drops, and it just became unnecessary. So let's go ahead and take a look at the stats that make up the Stealth Assassin. Diving into the stats, we can see max stamina reduction at 19, an armor rating of 55, and a crit resistance of 27%. Now, those of you who are familiar with steel armor will probably cringe at 27%, but honestly, it wasn't much of an issue unless we were toe-to-toe with some irradiated in the later levels. They could chew through us pretty good. However, staying true to our build, most mobs dropped in single-shot kills from stealth, even some irradiated, which was kind of our preferred method. Perk Books aside, by 50th level, your bow does an additional 50% damage from the archery skill, but plus 450% from stealth damage. By the same token, your machete has an additional 50% damage from deep cuts, but another 650% damage from stealth. So, and then thrown in for utility of damage, if you add in the damage over time, I mean, that's some nice damage modifiers. Now, with Flurry of Blows, we increase our already fast knives by plus 25% weapon speed. And if we combine the Sexual Tyrannosaurus with the Flurry of Blows, like we mentioned before, that's also another 50 stamina generation per kill. Now, from the shadows, the skill itself, at high levels really makes a difference. You can run around corners or over hills that obstruct their view and drop back into stealth and they'll forget about you over time. In some cases, if we were trying to do stealth kills with ranged, like crossbow, in some cases, we would never even leave stealth. We would shoot from a distance and they would forget about us before they ever even made it to us, which, if we were unlucky and hit and shooting the head, we would get a second shot at it from stealth. Now, mobility was our friend. Not having reduced jump height and stealth due to our perk book that we found allowed us to maneuver over obstacles for better positioning. Wasn't as key for ranged attacks, but when we started to really transition to stealth kills with the knife and the machete, it was invaluable. Now, I want to bring up the stats on two particular weapons, especially at level 50, or before level 50 really. And that's the level 5 hunting knife and the machete. Specifically the machete's attacks per minute in relation to the hunting knife. Now, the hunting knife stats on the weapon lists it at 120 attacks per minute, even though our character stat window would never go above 76. Now, I probably should reach out to Fun Pimps to see if this is some kind of a hard limit on speed or just some kind of calculation anomaly. Keep in mind that max flurry of blows improves that melee weapon speed by 25%, so graphically in the game, there's an incredible difference in the speed of the hunting knife over the machete, even if the stats do not reflect it. So even looking at the machete stats here on the screen, the damage classifications makes no sense based on what the weapon is doing. So we do have some questions on how accurate these stat windows are, even as we see them changed based on the weapon we're carrying in our hand. So let's go ahead and take and dive into some of the notes and tips that we have for this build if you choose to try this on your own. Notes and tips. First off, armor in the lower levels padded is your friend. No stamina lost and your best stealth option. You'll want to avoid moving to leather until you can start replacing pieces with at least level 3 or higher. Your ultimate goal will be to get into military armor and stealth boots, as the boost to crit reduction is helpful. You'll be forced to use sound reduction mods on most of your pieces if you want to get up and personal on those stealth knife kills. Though we mentioned it before, try pushing off Master Chef for as long as possible. I think for us, typically it was around 10th or 11th level. Move to the crossbow as soon as possible and get the scope going. It helps accuracy and can benefit from perk books that we discuss later. By the time you get to Hidden Strike level 2, you're going to be single-shotting normal zombies from stealth with your bow or crossbow, and you can just start prioritizing the knife over the archery skills, at least for when you do your selections. Deep cuts too will make your melee start slowing the mobs you hit by 15%. So even with zombies set to the sprint speed, you can easily keep ahead of them walking backwards and actually power striking. This is when nerd pulls become less of a thing for this build. In later levels, the bleed effect from deep cuts pretty much counteracts the health regen of irradiated zombies, making the need for rad mods not as important. If you find your cigar by level 23, you can take Sexual Tyrannosaur at level 2. Level 2 Sexual Tyrannosaurus. Otherwise, you'll end up pushing it to level 24. If you get your ski goggles by level 26 or before level 26, then you pretty much have your flurry of blows maxed out. Don't expect flurry of blows to be maxed out to level 28 if you don't have those ski goggles. It's just how the math works. If for some freakish poor luck you haven't found the ski goggles by level 28, it's probably best that you don't go looking for a lottery ticket. By level 36, you're going to be generating 50 stamina per kill and should be into a level 3 to 5 compound crossbow, and the hunting knife level 5 unless you're lucky to find the machete early on. And I think on the machete, even though we don't agree on it, some of us here don't agree on it, I found that the level 3 machete was about the perfect level to swap out a level 5 hunting knife. If you got a level 6, you might even hang out for level 4 right? Because at that point, you're really going to be just looking for the pattern for the machete so that you can get that build. So let's touch on burning mods. Burning mods on your tools, use those for light sources. Don't use the weapon or helmet mods. The weapon and helmet mods will mess with your stealth ability. So if you find like you need some light, put it on your axe or something. Burning shaft on your axe will not affect your stealth. Where those headlamps, they're just a dead giveaway. So stealth attacks with the knife should always be power attacks. Always, always, always. Get a mod to reduce fall damage as early as possible. It adds to the mobility of this build, and jumping out a window when the shit gets real is a fan favorite. While we're on the subject, we've also mentioned the military stealth boots as early as possible. Prioritize Norse reduction, increased defense, pocket, and insulation mods on armor pieces in that order. Prioritize serrated mod, rad remover, structural brace, and fortifying grip on your knife in that order. Serrated mod just increases your chances on applying the bleed and pairs well with deep cuts. So prioritize your scope times 4, your Crippum, rad remover, and laser sight on your crossbow. Pocket mods on clothing, obviously, and Leatherman jacket for run speed and damage reduction, assuming you can find the perk book for it. And I guess last but not least would be the black dye on everything. No self-respecting stealth assassin would be caught dead in pink. I don't want to see any Hello Kitty clowns sneaking around on those servers. In some cases, maintaining a compound bow throughout leveling has its advantages. I know it can take up real estate on the action bar, but the bow shines in kind of outdoors over the crossbow. In the end, really, the knife was much better. With deep cuts, once you have deep cuts at level 2, reducing movement, even on sprinting speeds, you can use your knife indoors and outdoors if for some reason you don't single shot a kill on a zombie. So it's easier, frees up an action bar slot, and you can just bank your bow. The hunting knife uses 8 stamina, where the machete uses 19. That level 5 hunting knife with max flurry of bows and sexual tyrannosaur at level 3 will do power attacks of 29 without mods, and you'll never run out of stamina on Horde Knights. However, once the machete starts to get to level 3, like I mentioned before, it's going to start outpacing your hunting knife. I won't lie, the attacks per minute will be reduced, but the greater damage will more than make up for it. Overall, the stealth assassin build is fun to level, and I would challenge anyone on a speed clearing of a shotgun Messiah factory. So let's compare the pros and cons here. As far as the pros, it is a POI clearing machine. No build thus far is more efficient at resource usage and health than this build when clearing a POI. The hit and run tactic, or the kiting combined with the bleed effect, is a valuable tactic for when your stealth attack single shot fails. Zombies taking damage while you're running away or repositioning can't be overstated. High mobility and stamina generation make this a great build. On the con side, you only have 2 additional points to play with, which means you're going to be very dependent on recipes for seeds, better food, workbenches, and any tech. The loss of looting perks will mean receiving level 6 versions of the machete and compound crossbow are probably out of reach by level 50. And finally, being forced into the cigar and ski goggles for this build, for some may be a limiting factor. I guess it depends on if you're married to a mask or something else in general. So that's it for this build. Let's go ahead and take a look at the perk books. We usually reserve that till the end, just because everybody's experience is going to be different with those, based on the luck of the draw. As it relates to perk books, we recommend that no player passes any perk book related to guns and ammo, as you will be using those on Horde Knights, make no mistake. This is not meant as a only take these recommendations, but rather some key volumes that stack on your natural abilities. They have synergy, as you were. With a build that is so heavy on stealth and range silent destruction, it's probably not surprising that the list is rather long. Starting with the Great Heist, falling distances is good for everyone, and zero stamina loss while sneak sprinting is self explanatory. The Night Stalker and Ranger's Guide are two sets we recommend maxing out and getting every volume. Not just for the max perks, but because most of these are going to be adding weapon damage, sneak damage with both bows and knives, and some nice crafting of specialty ammo for your crossbow. If you have ever had a question about using your crossbow for Horde Night, you should play around with exploding boats. It's family fun for everyone. Now, the sniper has two books particularly that increase damage with scoped weapons while also reducing stamina while zoomed in. So naturally, those are a pretty good fit once you move to the crossbow. Urban Combat is one of the perk book trees with something for everyone. Of course, it has the aforementioned military stealth boots right at the top of the list, but doing extra damage during the day and then doing extra damage during the night with the Night Stalker volumes is just plain ridiculous. Well, there it is, the Stealth Assassin build. What do you think? How does it compare with your build? Have a favorite build you'd like for us to run through the ringer? Leave a comment. We'll see you all post update 20 with a brand new stun baton build. I'm Tactical Gamer, and we will see you next time.